I've been teaching improvisation at the Second City Training Center in Chicago for many, many years. But just because I teach improv does not really mean that I'm teaching comedy necessarily. I'm teaching acting classes. And when we act honestly, in the moment with the other actors, then the end result is often comedic. Now, my journey as a student, as a performer, as a teacher, has taught me a lot about something I never really anticipated: compassion. But especially through a specific exercise that I teach. So we know this acting term. What's my motivation in this scene, right? Like something an actor might say to a director, but maybe not in that voice. This exercise explores a character's motivation, but this exercise helped teach me something about life. And I wish I had this understanding when I was in college, because if I did, I would have known why my friend Brian was so furious with me this one time, but I will get back to Angry Brian later. So this exercise is about focusing on an improviser's emotional need or their motivation. I have them say to themselves before the scene starts, I want this person, their scene partner, I want this person to see me as blank. And then they fill in the blank with a random word, a positive quality. Maybe it's, I want this person to see me as strong. I want this person to see me as smart, as helpful. Any one of those things, and then they play through that filter, trying to get the emotional need they gave themselves. So here's an example. Let's say it's successful. Let's say I've given myself successful. I want that character to see my character as successful. Maybe I say something like this in the scene. Yeah, you know, I closed that really big deal, so I treated myself to a Beamer, and I'm going to take it out to the Hamptons this weekend. So, yeah, so. Now, sometimes your emotional need manifests itself in different ways. In this case, my character comes off like a total jackass. But that's okay, because it gives my character nuance, and it gives the performer a place to speak from, which is really, really important when you're improvising, making up lines off the top of your head. But my aha moment was when I realized that this is a life skill, that this emotional need or motivation exercise works in the reverse order. So instead of being an actor, trying to speak from an emotional point of view, you are all listeners out in the real world, deconstructing other people's real words and decoding the actual place they're speaking from. So here's an example of where I use this one time. I meet this guy for the very first time. We're having a conversation, and he's great. And then I tell him that I teach improv at Second City, and he loves it, but then he turns a little obnoxious. I'm like, what the hell just happened? He was cool, like 2 seconds ago. And then it hit me. He equated me as being funny, and he wanted me to see him as funny. That was the emotional place he was speaking from. He wanted me to see him as funny, even if it was subconsciously. Ever try real hard to be funny? It doesn't always go so well. I should know. I try it all the time. All right. So instead of just writing him off as some annoying dunderhead, if you will, I used compassion. I understood where his words were coming from. He was seeking accord with me. He wanted me to like him. That is flattering. I can handle a few comedic misfires. I mean, who the hell am I anyway? Finding where somebody is speaking from emotionally is like a superpower that we all have. I'm not even telling you anything you don't already know. I'm just reminding you that you have this superpower and to use it more. Okay, Angry Brian story. So in college, in the dorms, me and the people on the floor, were playing with a Ouija board. Do we all know what this is? This Parker Brothers game where you contact the dead? Side note, never use a Ouija board. Nothing good ever comes of it. All right. So everyone is freaking out by this Ouija board, and especially Brian. And I think it'd be a funny joke if I call my friend Brian and I say in a demonic voice, "You've gone too far." I did do that. And maybe he thought a demon called him. When he figured out it was me, he went into a furious rage. He went nuts. His anger was disproportionate from my lame crank call. But I was too young to understand at the time why he got that mad. It was years later that I put it through this place where you speak from concept. And I realized it wasn't anger he was motivated by. It was fear. He was terrified. All of that ghost and spirit and otherworld stuff, that fear manifested itself into anger. Brian was a really tough guy. He could handle himself in all kinds of situations. But ghosties? That's a little out of his control, and it scared him. And anger was the only outward way he knew how to deal with it. And that's what I'm talking about. The gut place we all speak from. In Brian's case, he was motivated by fear. Oftentimes, it's just that pause that we give ourselves to figure out where somebody else's words might actually be coming from. Is your aunt being nosy? Or is she interested in your life? Is your buddy being a tool because he's talking about his bench press? Or is he proud of an accomplishment and he wants to tell his friend? Again, emotional needs often manifest themselves in unintended ways. I mean, does your bench press buddy say to himself, "Today, I want to be a tool"? Probably not. He probably says to himself, "I just had this big milestone with the bench press and I'm proud of it and I want to tell my friend." The tool part comes when he tries to get his emotional need. I want to be seen as proud of this bench press. But that need is stronger than his ability to regulate his tool to nice guy ratio. Some people just aren't good at it. So I used to work with this woman years ago, and we'd become great friends, and she suffered from chronic back pain. So some days she could be a little grouchy. Ever have back pain? You feel like running and laughing through the meadows with puppies and bunnies? No. You want hatchets and death metal. So if she came off as a little coarse from time to time, I knew where those words were coming from. And I cut her a break. What if we cut more people breaks? Showed more compassion, traded somebody's frown for your smile. And I know I just went full-blown kindergarten teacher there. But I'm not saying we need to let ourselves get walked on at every turn. But consider what other people might be going through. I mean, is anyone inherently a jerk? Maybe. But most aren't. The majority of people are good. They just suffer from insecurities, like we all do. Or maybe they're dealing with something we can't even comprehend. Fear, devastation, crippling loss. So, let's take that extra pause. Let's put judgment to the side. Use your superpower. Decode where people are actually speaking from, because with understanding comes compassion. We all need to use more compassion, and that should be your motivation. Thank you.